A very good evening to you and welcome to the English language commentary here on BBC Alba at the start of a brand new season of coverage. We begin with a cracking exhibition match in prospect. It's the battle for New Scotland as the Pro 12 champion Glasgow Warriors provide the opposition for Canada as they continue the World Cup preparations, which, to be fair to the Canadians, haven't gone to plan. The question is, will the land of fine moose and beautiful cities such as Halifax, Nova Scotia, you see there the beautiful citadel in the heart of downtown Halifax, the second largest natural harbour in the world. It's a beautiful city and it's a wonderful backdrop for Glasgow and Canada to meet head to head. Just a couple of days ago, the Canadian RFU announced a change of venue, citing player welfare concerns. So while the food and the dancing may be fine, the pitch wasn't. So it's a new venue for Glasgow, are looking to build on such a memorable season last year. Pro 12 champions. It was a joy to behold for Glasgow Warriors. Plenty of action, plenty of tries. And one of the key players, DTH Van der Merwe, who's left Glasgow Warriors, will be lining up against Glasgow this evening. Glasgow without, of course, all their international players who played earlier for Scotland. A memorable win and a good warm-up match against the Italians. Stuart Hogg among the players. Will it be another memorable season for Glasgow Warriors? Their journey starts here, and it starts on BBC Alba as their preparations for the defence of the Pro 12 continues. It's Canada against Glasgow Warriors in the self-proclaimed battle for New Scotland. I'm delighted to have alongside me Scott Hastings. And Scott, it's an exhibition game. Both teams have got slightly differing agendas here. It's going to be a fascinating night.
Yeah, when this fixture was announced, I was speaking to Gareth Rees, the former Canadian great internationalist and who plied his trade down at Wasps as well, and he's very friendly with Gregor Townsend. He needed to gather his squad before they flew over here for the Rugby World Cup, so the fixture was put on here in Halifax. Of course, Scotland have toured up here before in the past, so great history between this part of the world and Glasgow Rugby really stamping their authority and their awareness on this particular fixture. As you can see in the picture there, and the pictures coming live from Halifax, it's a bit ropey, but it's apparently better than the previous surface that they were due to play on, so lots of fun ahead. It's going to be really interesting. For me, one of the key things about this game is how Josh Strauss performs, and will he be part of Vern Cotter's squad, because Scotland's win this afternoon by 48 points to 7 over Italy has undoubtedly given the Scotland team a much needed confidence boost. So fascinating times for Scottish rugby.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Josh Strauss, he actually qualifies for Scotland the day after the World Cup starts. It's 3 days before Scotland's opening fixture, so he'll be playing here, and he knows Vern Cotter, if he's not watching this live, will watch a tape of this game. He'll want to see how Josh Strauss is performing. It's a Glasgow side that, well, it's a shadow Glasgow side because the internationals are away, Scott, but there's players here who are signed on temporary contracts. They want full-time contracts. There's a lot of individual interest in this game.
Yeah, very much so. I always look at the spine of a team, and you still have the experience, for example, with Pat MacArthur and that hooker. Very interesting. I was out in Italy in the summer watching the Scotland under-20 side, and Xander Fagerson, who played last year for Glasgow, were getting a select as well in a starting position. He played a really important role for Scotland in that Under-20 World Cup, now involved in senior rugby, and he's starting in that front row alongside MacArthur.
Well, Kieran Law will see alongside Tim Swinson. It's a strong back row for Varel, Strauss and Fusaro. It's the former Newcastle Falcons half-back pairing of Blair and Clegg, and Peter Murchie, the captain for the season, will be there. Canada, like Glasgow, will be wearing white. We're going to have a little bit of fun with that. They just have two players who started for them against the USA last week. Standoff Nathan Hirayama and flanker Nanyak Dalla. Familiar faces though. DTH Van der Merwe and Connor Braid wear 11 and 12 respectively. And there you can see Glasgow to the left, Canada to the right. I don't think I've ever done a game that's featured both teams wearing white strips, but it was a first time for everything. Interesting from a Canadian point of view, Taylor Paris missed out on the World Cup squad with groin issues. He was going to be an important player for them. He had a successful season in France, winning promotion with Agen. Canada decided not to take Jamie Pritchard, their all-time top points scorer. He didn't actually make the preliminary squad. Tom Dizelle missing out, he's broken his arm. And Scott, interesting, of the 31 players who will line up for Canada when they come over, 18 will play in the World Cup for the very first time. It's an inexperienced squad.
It certainly is. I'm looking down the lineup though, and I recognise a lot of the players from the sevens lineup, and of course they transition between sevens and 15s. They're very, very good athletes, and you'll see some of the stars of this Canadian team, and Nathan Hirayama, for example, Phil Mack, and of course Jamie Cudmore, who has such experience with Clermont Auvergne. So as the teams line up, we'll no doubt have the Canadian national anthem.
So our referee this afternoon, Chris Asmus from Rugby Canada, signing for the ball. I hope they've got more than one delivered. Never miss a trick for a little bit of promotion. They will stand all round
now
this constructed stadium,
please rise
for the national anthem.
And join us in the
Canada.
playing of the Canadian national anthem.
For their rugby ability rather than their singing ability, I think that would be fair to say, for the players belting out "O Canada." It's a picturesque setting in Halifax in Nova Scotia. Canada have made much about the coast-to-coast preparations for the World Cup. They started in Vancouver, they finish in Halifax. This is the last stop on Canadian soil before heading to England. They've got a couple of warm-up games to play there. So Glasgow with plenty of players looking to stake a place in the side that will start against the Scarlets next Saturday. Canada, well, these players have clinched a place in the squad, Scott. They want to make sure they're putting themselves right into that starting 15 for their opening World Cup fixture.
Yeah, it's all about mindset for these Canadians. I was just looking down the opening game for Canada in the Rugby World Cup is on September the 19th. Canada versus Ireland at Cardiff, Wales. And imagine the national anthem in the Millennium Stadium. I'm sure the atmosphere will be a little bit different, but their World Cup journey starts right now.
Advantage Canada as Glasgow knock on. Taken in by Kyle Gilmore. Pat MacArthur just dropping off. You see Glasgow number 2. Picked through by Nathan Hirayama. And that'll just be seen to play by Rory Clegg. So Rory Clegg getting his chance, signed for the duration of the Rugby World Cup. He's an experienced 10.
Very much so, and you know, from the Newcastle Falcons club as well. Seen him representing England at under 20 level as well, and it'll be interesting to see how he settles in. But as you mentioned in your earlier lineup commentary, Paul, that you mentioned that alongside Mike Blair, of course, who was signed from Newcastle Falcons, and joins the coaching team, but an experienced head here putting the ball in at this scrum.
So Mike Blair, former Edinburgh player from the capital city,
Bind.
wearing the Glasgow jersey.
Set. 9. Use.
Not the best feed, but well dealt with. After trying to drive through. Blair on the carry. Tim Swinson.
Advantage 8 not rolling.
Richard Thorpe has been penalised for not rolling away. Experienced player. And Glasgow, it's good to see taking it quickly, moving on. Glenn Bryce, the heart of the action again through the hands of Swinson. Touch on the ball for Fraser Lyle, wearing 12 for Glasgow. The one thing you won't hear said tonight is advantage white.
Leave the 9. Stay, leave it.
Mikey Blair gets the penalty, drives on. It's a high tempo start from Glasgow. Sander Fagerson. It's going to be picked up by Lee Jones. Driving on, Yana Yanatawa. Right from Glasgow. Blair through Clegg. Onto Lyle. He's got a man outside him. All the way it will go. Opportunity for Glasgow. And Glenn Bryce has gone over. The referee awards the try. Excellent start from Glasgow. Under 3 minutes gone. They've crossed the line.
Very, very positive from Glasgow. Bryce had a lot to do. Look how he went low, reached for the line. Superb try. But for me, it was the pass by Rory Clegg. You always look at something that's a little bit different within the movement, and hopefully the broadcaster, the host broadcaster in Canada, will show us the quality of Clegg's pass to put pace on that movement. But a sprightly start here by this Glasgow outfit.
Well, it's a very impressive start. Glasgow have forced Canada on their heels immediately. Canada perhaps reeling after defeat to the USA last week, their heaviest ever against the Americans. The most points conceded, 41. So the conversion attempt from Clegg. It's a little bit flat.
Positive start, Paul, from Mike Blair as well. Penalty, you often, in the middle of the season, you're going to kick that to go. But Mike Blair, sharp as a tap go, and he went again. So he gave forward front foot football to this Glasgow team. An excellent try. They found their width on the outside. Good conditions, bit blustery. Wind right to left behind that. Hirayama kicks off.
The right footed kick is deep. Well gathered by Glasgow. Oh, it's a terrific run, but the ball's been stripped. You can see there, Jamie Cudmore was close, but the ball was knocked on. And again, you've got to be impressed, Rory. You took it in and decided to have a little go.
Well, cap for Scotland last week in the international match from Turin. I'm sure he'd be delighted to hear that Scotland gone into back-to-back wins. Full of promise. And this is all about exposure to the youngster. And undoubtedly, he'll have a good run in the Guinness Pro 12.
Crouch. Bind.
So 9 for Canada is Phil Mack, internationalist since 2009.
Use.
Taken on by Thorpe. Hirayama with a long pass. Well, there's a familiar figure, and he's been taken down by Peter Murchie. DTH Van der Merwe. Oh, he's going to sneak down the side. He's just put his foot in touch. He's a clever player. Just saw the little gap. Unfortunately, he just crossed the line with his left foot.
DTH, a Glasgow Warriors firm favourite. He's a clever footballer. I'm glad to see Canada using him on the wing. The last Rugby World Cup 4 years ago, New Zealand, they played him in the centre. And I just think he's more of an attacking threat down that left channel. Great tackle by Peter Murchie as well, because I always think that DTH Van der Merwe, who wears his centre of gravity around his bootlaces, so that was an excellent tackle. Peter Murchie went in low, downed his man, so the threat was countered.
It's nice to get in a tackle on a former teammate. Well, taken by Glasgow. Being told to use it. This little box kick. Just on the 22 it goes. Clean take, the execution away. This stage of the season, that's one of the things you're looking for. Just clear your lines.
Yeah, you're also working for your patterns as well, getting the line out throws spot on, getting everything drilled through so there's a confidence in the team. Glasgow will open up their home campaign against the Scarlets, but you know, I'm sure the players will love this opportunity to fly over there. They've been preparing well, and undoubtedly the conditions are going to suit that Glasgow style of rugby. Canada, though, they've got the attack on this 22.
Benoit Prefero, the only Quebec player in this Canadian side. Comes in again at Phil Mack. Mack through Yama. Glasgow defending well. Again it's Mack, Yama. Well swallowed up by Fraser Lyle. He'll come through the hands of the centre, Connor Braid, another familiar figure. Woo! The Glasgow Warriors last term, they went on loan to London Scottish. This is better from Canada. Phil Mack again. Gets things moving. There it goes. Matt Evans is throwing the ball out of play. That's the problem when the fullback comes into the line so easily. The ball gets moved away. It's a nice little sign welcoming BBC Alba to this beautiful part of Canada.
This is the way to watch rugby, isn't it? Sitting back there, shorts and t-shirt on, cheering on your national team.
$15 Canadian to get into the beer garden. You just had to be over 19. Nice place. They went long, and it's picked up by Fagerson.
Yes!
Yanatawa is guarding. Player with a kick. That's well taken. Jeff Haslett, the Ospreys player.
Play on.
Phil Mack through Connor Baird. Here. Connor Baird. He's got good hands. Back again, picked up. Andrew Tideman. Moving through the hands of Richard Thorpe. Now here comes Connor Braid. It's a great break. Decided not to give the pass. Peter Murchie again with a tackle. Got a bit of juggling, and the referee will allow the advantage. Glasgow smuggle this out quickly. I don't you just love to see a prop run. Fagerson with a setup. Murchie now. Murchie's got a real chance here for Glasgow. Little pass inside onto Swinson. And the ball comes loose. The Justice Sears Guru dropped on it. And Glasgow went after the ball.
That's a running
up.
Well, exciting passage of play, isn't it? It's been an open game, positive statement from both teams, and Xander Fagerson, well, showing a real turn of pace there, as you said, a prop forward, rumbling up the middle of the park.
Well, if there were any concerns about the pitch, both sets of players seem to be keeping their feet pretty well. Peter Murchie with a goalkeeping touch. It's a solid challenge. Player just trying to make sure that he got Tideman out the way. Good hands again from Glasgow through Lyle, Bryce. Glasgow drive over. Glenn Bryce, the try scorer, playing scrum half into Pat MacArthur. Clegg. Accidental offside, I think. Josh Strauss just coming across. But it's great to see two players desperate to get on the ball, desperate to try and make that move, but on the other hand, you've got to
His first action was to move.
Yes, it's just quite like the balance of this Glasgow team. You know, there's a
You were kind of standing to the side as
experience
well.
laced throughout it. Lee Jones, for
enough.
example, very positive statement there, breaking out from deep. Peter Murchie, an experienced head in the Warriors.
Yeah,
You've got Rory Clegg, Mike. Lots of opportunities here for the players to shine. The power of Josh Strauss up the middle.
We're going to play on.
If you can knock
Full back,
out
let's go.
Yanatawa, who himself is 18 stone 10 out the way like that.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Somebody should tell the referee the little
Same way.
thing on his shorts is up at the back.
For the tag.
That was the word I couldn't find.
Kevin, they'll want to get some consistency in their scrum formation. Of course, the minute you get the Rugby World Cup, if you're not tight in that department, then you're going to be under an awful lot of pressure. And of course, Canada in the same group as Ireland, Italy, France and Romania. So they'll eye off maybe the scalp of Italy and Romania, certainly.
9 out.
All those teams ranked above them in the world. Picked up by Richard Thorpe, who plays his rugby with London Welsh. It's going to be laid back, but Phil Mack is swallowed up in there.
Leave it.
Dyer watches as that comes wide. Back again, a bit too stationary, Canada. Mack, it's the ball through the hands of Matt Evans.
Use! Our feet.
Glasgow in off their feet.
Support your weight.
You saw there Tim Swinson rolling away. He wasn't penalised. It was the man coming in from the side. You can see the replacements
Number 7,
bench.
knee on the ground.
Or the replacements benches. The number of replacements for Glasgow. There are 13 of them. And just the 10 for Canada.
Hang on.
Our Pro 12 coverage starts on Friday. Edinburgh take on Leinster. It's live on BBC Alba to join us.
Move away, please.
25 to 8. John Beattie, Scott Hastings will be on the red button call. Glasgow open up next Saturday against Scarlets.
Away.
Looking forward to being at that one. Anderson takes the ball on. As we get into forwards there quickly, but that's not coming out of there.
Knock on.
The knock on, and Canada will get the put in. Canada, credit to them, Scott. They've bounced back after what was a poor start.
Yeah, they have. I think they were unfortunate not to get a penalty there. There was a sealing off on that ball. As Pat McCarthy and Xander Fagerson went over the top to seal it, but the original infringement picked up by the referee, which is the knock-on. So Phil Mack will have this scrum. He's a great little terrier of a scrum half. This guy, number 9 for Canada. To the right of your picture, of course, red shots for the Canadian team, blue shots for the Glasgow team.
Bind.
I'd love to have my colour switch to you. Turn it down to black and white in the old days and see if you could differentiate between the teams.
Ball out.
Phil Mack sniping away as any good scrum half does. Good cover from Glasgow, but that's been taken through by Olmsted.
Advantage, not rolling.
Glasgow haven't rolled away. Canada pushing forward. Rory Hughes on the initial tackle. They'll drive, met with a white Glasgow wall.
Use it.
And you see Kieran Lowe just bent over waiting. They're driving through. This is his opposite number, Jamie Cudmore. And the Canadian skipper, the experienced player, who went to his 4th World Cup finals, crosses the line for Canada. And that was good build-up play, lovely break, started by Phil Mack. And thereon after, the forwards took on the roll. Cudmore crossing the line.
Yeah, imagine Mack at scrum half. He nipped round that blind and they were prepared and be patient on it, brought it back onto this near side. Good ball carrying play there by Jamie Cudmore. Difficult to defend against. Glasgow just didn't get enough numbers behind that ruck that was allowing the pick and drive then from Cudmore. And the additional 2 points on offer here from Nathan Hirayama.
Hirayama plays with the British Columbia Bears and strikes that through. So the conversion successful. And Glasgow, after a bright opening, find themselves behind.
to work being a supporter over here, isn't it?
Is it 1 beer for every point scored? That's going straight out. A mistake from the opening from Glasgow. There you see the big figure, Jeff Hassler. Missed quite a part of last season for the Ospreys, but when he was around, what a difference he made to them.
Yeah, remember, a lot of these players in this Canadian side, full-time professionals. Yes, they're over, a lot of them are over here in Europe, but they're well conditioned. Now, you know, they're sizzling a little bit at the moment. When they get to World Cup, it's the big stage. It's how they cope with that pressure, how they cope with the intensity of a game, of the real international game. And this will bring a bit of confidence to them in the way they got themselves back into this game, getting their structures set.
Use.
Back digs it out, but he overhits. And stand off. Now Matt Evans going for a wonder. That's a great angled run. The pass high, and it's been well taken, and now driving on. Kieran Hearn. Olmstead's. See there, Josh Strauss battling as he always does. Again, Hassler taking it on. It's a bad pass from Phil Mack. You can see there Richard Thorpe had to jump to gather it, and that just allowed Glasgow to drive on up. Just as Sears did it with a little slip there. Far from pleased. Some good hitting from both teams, good tackle.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested to see how this Canadian team, how they try and use that blindside. You saw the way they went down that blindside, but the quality of the pass took momentum off the movement. The counter-attack was good though from Matt Evans, who then got the link and support play. It's how players play down round the corner. Often our colleague John Beattie talks about. Scotland today went down the blind an awful lot, but they then kicked in that first half, gave away an awful lot of possession, but they're more comfortable with ball in hand. But once you get a team defending well on that line, it's all about how do you put pace back on the ball, how do you get that ball back into play to then really get that go forward rugby that everybody wants to see.
We're currently on a water break in Canada, to reflect on the opening 18 minutes. It's an Canadian side ranked 18 in the world, one of 8 Tier 2 nations, and they'll certainly be hoping to improve their standing. They've had a very poor 2015 following on from a very poor 2014.
GPS data, now a feature of the modern game, isn't it? Every player has embedded within his jersey. I don't know if I would have liked that when I was playing. There's no hiding place now for any of these players, but such as the technicalities of the game, and there's also the hydration factor. And James Eddy there wearing that number 20 jerseys. He is also a great stalwart for this Warriors team, so he might be the first of many changes we'll see. That'll keep you on your toes, Paul, throughout this game.
I've counted there's potentially 53 players that can take part.
I wonder if the referee will have a referee sub as well, or we'll get a touch to John, will we?
There's an idea. It is rolling substitutes. It has been agreed by both managers, both coaches.
Right there. Thank you.
Interesting that both Gregor Townsend from Glasgow Warriors and Kieran Crowley hosted coaching workshops over the last few days as they're trying to bring the game more across Canada. Its stronghold is Vancouver and British Columbia. That's where the main league is. And then they've got a district competition as well. Glasgow have taken it. Strauss, big hit from Kyle Gilmore to bring him down. And Glasgow knock on. Little bit of afters. That's Phil Mack. And Glasgow quite happy to calm things down on that occasion. Simone Favaro, Italian international player, not involved in their World Cup preparations.
Let's go. Okay, thank you.
You can tell it's hot out there. You can see the sweat of the players. Our first live Glasgow match on BBC2 Scotland this term will come
Crouch.
when the Glasgow Warriors take on Connacht Friday the 11th of September.
Bind.
Live on BBC2 Scotland.
Set.
With Glasgow against Connacht matches last term were good contests. Mac Hirayama. Braid.
13, move!
It was a really good hit again from Glasgow. You can see Fraser Lyle not shirking his tackling responsibilities. Olmsted. Brought down, still trying to go. Back on the reverse. That was lateral, not forward. Rihanna gets it through the hands of Braid onto the fullback, Matt Evans.
Canadian backs were just a little bit flat there, so everything's just at that little bit of half pace. They're building their structures well.
A little chip ball through, Dalla will go after it. Murchie decides to take him on, and why not? Lovely sidestep. And again from Murchie. Great break, eventually slammed to the ground by Jeff Haslett.
Play on.
Pat MacArthur just rolling out the way. Turn over to Canada. Evans driving on.
Use!
Evans remains down.
Yeah, the ball's over there. Stop. No, that's the second time for you. Stop.
Yami Yanatara engaged in conversation with the referee. As again, Jeff Haslett tears down the right side. Olmsted for the scrum cap. And the penalty against Glasgow.
You're on the ground, move.
Simple instruction, you're on the ground, move. Well, they didn't, the headgear is off.
Yeah, Canada got back to defend that well by Peter Murchie. He had the opportunity to slip a pass to Rory Hughes. And I just felt he just hung on the ball once too long, but good counter-attack by Peter Murchie, the Glasgow skipper, who incidentally he'll be skipping this Glasgow team right the way through the Rugby World Cup and into November.
So Canada, I think what's interesting here is they're going for the points. Canada need a win, a bit like Scotland when they went to Turin. You just needed some kind of win. Canada, I think, have won, one of the last 10. They're in real turmoil in those terms. They just need a victory.
Oh, very much so. You cannot underestimate what it means to win in your international jersey. And I think that Scotland's confidence-boosting win last week helped them this week. It'll take them into good stead in France. But the simple fact is, some of the hard work has now been done, which allows them to go into that opening game, Scotland's opening game in the Rugby World Cup against Japan.
Hirayama with a missed penalty. It's the Canadian side. They've lost their last 7 tests. Won 1, lost 10 since the start of 2014.
Let's go, please.
Black gets that away. Neatly taken by Cudmore. Canadian try scorer.
Use!
He takes Vandermeer coming in, but Mack takes it from the base. Goes through the hands of the hooker, Pefero. Conor Gray. Running on, but again.
Holding on.
The referee didn't like it. Holding on. Conor Braid not releasing. The man who now plies his trade with the British Columbia Bears is penalised.
Yeah, Simone Favaro, though, doing some great work. The blindside Italian for Glasgow. He's a good signing for Glasgow, just having an experienced head. And I first looked at the picture there and thought, well, Chris Fusaro might have got across there. But Fusaro and Favaro, well, they're a great linking back row pairing.
Really good interview coming up at half-time here on BBC Alba. You'll need to switch off the red button to hear it. Gregor Townsend reflects a little bit on last year, but really on what's ahead this year. Really good interview with Gregor Townsend. Pat MacArthur, sweltering. Well taken by Josh Strauss. Good breakthrough again from Fraser Lyle. He's been bright at 12. Strauss through Clegg. Experienced Clegg realised the flat pass would have been intercepted. Tried
option.
A little bit of a dump over.
Option. No option.
I'm sorry, yes, Chris.
Peter Murchie gives a real lead within this Glasgow team, but I also like the angles that Fraser Lyle runs. He's a clever player. He holds his lines well. He maybe doesn't have the softest of hands, but he's better with his longer passing, so he can read situations both off left and right. And when he made his, he got contracted through air last year, wasn't it? And then went out and made his debut for Scotland at 7-a-side rugby. He scored a cracking try against New Zealand in open play. So one for the future.
On the Melrose Sevens with Glasgow as well, as Fusaro gets the ball through. There's Lyle on cue. Glasgow cleaning out the Canadian opposition well. Murchie jumped down. Tell you what, Olmsted and Cudmore, ferocious lock forwards as the knock on will come against Glasgow.
And I was into a red jersey, then into a blue jersey. Knock on.
There's a look at Sander Fagerson. He did superbly well, I thought. Exactly comes in there from the blindside flanker, Cal Gilmore. There's another take out there, just trying to spot who that was off the ball.
I tell you what, there's one or two bodies starting to fly about, and whether the referee is slightly blinded by the white and not quite picking it up.
Yeah, but you can see all the players are straight back up on their feet again. You know, well-conditioned athletes, Paul, and you know these. It's almost a 12-month-a-year sport, isn't it? Now that we're commentating on so much international rugby being played, and you know, a real attractive game it is.
Back to the feed. Yes. Glasgow with a push, and it's taken from the back. Connor Braid is loving playing against his former side, and here comes Nanyak Gala of the Prairie Wolfpack. He's on the prowl, gets the pass away. Hassler on to Mack. Mack could score here. Dumps the ball back inside. What a tackle! Great tracking back from Favaro. Danger not clear. Hassler tried to go over. They've scored. Canada get the ball over the line. What a break that was from the Canadians. That's the type of rugby they've been desperate to play. And the home crowd certainly happy to see it. Glasgow thought they'd done enough here, Scott, but Hassler linked in a couple of times.
Well, look at the quality of the passes the Canadians have strung together. All sort of manner of passes. The support angles are running was great. Matt with the overhead here. Kieran Hearn got tracked down by Favaro, but route one was onto the post here. I think the try was scored right at the base of the post. And that's tremendous. The support lines of this Canadian team, tremendous. And of course the conditions are making it an open game. So we're enjoying commentating here. We hope you're enjoying it at home as well. And exciting stuff there from Canada.
Matt Evans with the try. And the conversion added. Well, Glasgow got a challenge on their hands here. Hirayama successful with a kick. Nearly 28 minutes played. Glasgow trailing by 14 points to 5. Glasgow was scoring in just 3 minutes. The squint headband of Matt Evans, played at the London Sevens earlier on this year, plays his rugby for the Cornish Pirates. Nicely taken in the end by Cudmore. Olmsted forced back. James Eddy winning 20 for Glasgow. Pass again high.
Inside.
Hirayama. That's good play from the standoff. The pass was high. He just calmed things down and got the kick away.
Yeah, Hirayama with his first two kicks, you'll recall, he put one straight out on the full, the other one not so good either. He's settling into a game.
Jeff Hassler. You see him being pursued. Got the ball away. Ball taken by Kieran Lowe. Flag along the line. The angle was red though. Conor Braden on the challenge. Glasgow again moved. The ball was almost smuggled away there by Glenn Bryce. Little nutmeg on himself by Mikey Blair.
Stop.
Matt Evans just hoping that's going to cross the line. It will oblige. Clyde had to come all the way forward to make sure.
Time off. Number 3.
So Glasgow will bring on Darcy Wright and Amber Fagerson will go off for now. Hassler wasn't held.
Leave it. No.
Mike Blair tried to come over there. DTH van der Merwe looking for a little Glasgow gap.
Leave it.
Back. Plays the ball back out to Tideman. Conor Braid. This is right boot through that.
Outside.
Ball taken by Murchie. Calling on support. Dalla will take him down. Murchie managed to get himself turned again. Evan Olmsted, the 24-year-old from Greater Sydney Rams, with a wild beard, the wild look, was trying to come over there. Picked up by Glenn Bryce. Bryce leaves Mac for dead. Needs some support though. Looking round, trying to get it. That's a good hold from Nathan Hirayama.
Advantage offside.
Glasgow have the advantage. We can fling this around. Here's Peter Murchie. This is out Strauss. Lyle gets the ball on. Glasgow get it inside again. Murchie tried to bring in Rory Hughes, but will take the penalty for offside. It's breathtaking at the moment.
Well, it's open rugby from Glasgow, but individual skill and brilliance from Glenn Bryce there. He nipped down that side. His sidestep was superb. And well, Glasgow, they had an opportunity on the far side through Hughes to score. Didn't quite manage it, but great to see sort of individual skill coming in and the collective ability of this Glasgow team stringing good passes together. I mentioned earlier on about Fraser Lyle, how he runs good angles. Also his quality, his crispness of passing is good. Maybe doesn't have the most deft hands in the world, but gets the offload there. Hughes was well tackled, but the spilt ball just didn't quite find Hughes from Murchie there. And Murchie full of running as well. It's a good mindset for this Glasgow team. And as you mentioned earlier on, Paul, we're going to hear a half-time doc on Gregor Townsend talking about sort of always saying, yeah, last year happened, but this is what we're going to try and do this coming season. And I'm enjoying the way that Glasgow have approached this game and playing with real intent.
It's truly a beautiful game when it's played with such openness.
And of course the scrums aren't going down, that makes a difference as well.
Nicely taken by Tim Swinson. Glasgow trailing by 9 points. 7 minutes to half time. Darcy Ray at the base. Pizarro and Simoni working hard. Beautiful little offload. Great play out wide, but the pass, unfortunately, from Jones didn't go to hand. Canada have come over the top. Oh, that's Nathan Hirayama.
Yeah, leave it.
He's going to get pinged.
Just let go.
When you're on the deck and you're trying to scramble, if all you're seeing is a white top, it can be a little bit tricky. There's a great break from Lee Jones. He's not afraid of contact, Rory Hughes, likes to pick up and give it a drive. Glaswegian Rory Hughes played just twice for Glasgow last term. The Glasgow bench, numerous. Might be worth pointing out, Scott, at this stage that Canada did offer to play in red, but the jerseys that they brought with them didn't actually have any numbers on them. Therefore, the referee wasn't too happy at that.
Well, you weren't too happy because you wouldn't have recognised any of the players, but I'm glad they're in that. And in actual fact, the differentiation between the blue shorts and that lower blue on the Glasgow strips making a difference.
Canada will attack from inside their own 22. Liama gets it wide, goes high in the air from Lee Jones. And the referee, I think the ball was there to be won. I think that was harsh. I'm not quite convinced Lee Jones wanted to put it up in the air like that.
Phil Mack obviously making his point to the referee there. He felt it was deliberate, but undoubtedly Lee Jones's intervention stopped a good attack there from this Canadian side.
But at first glance, he looked like he was trying to knock it to take it, as opposed to just knock it away. The referee deciding penalty all the same. Well, for many in Halifax this afternoon, this will be the first chance they've had to see the national rugby side in the flesh. And it's a good crowd given the fact that it's been moved from the centre of Halifax, who's to be played in the shadow of the Citadel.
No,
Has
stay.
been moved out just slightly out of town. Craig swallowed up.
Leave it.
Favaro hit.
Leave it.
Kieran Law goes low. That's Dalla. He intercepts the pass. Gets support from Olmsted. Liama is out wide. DTH Van der Merwe as the trademark handoff. Just through the hands of Mack onto Evans. Andrew Tideman. 6th year an international player, a Canadian number 3. That could be deliberate knock on. And Rory Clegg, and he could get a yellow card for that.
Second time.
The difference there for me was I don't think he had any chance of taking the ball, unlike what Lee Jones did, and the yellow card comes out for Clegg.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. And well, Canada, they want to finish strongly now. They've got the power play, the one-man advantage. Hirayama will have to find touch, a good touch at the Glasgow 22. And if Canada have a set play from the line out, that's a drive to start with. They can really attack this Glasgow backline.
That tells you how hot it is when somebody puts a bag of ice on you and you don't flinch. There was the pass out and there was the hand. There was no potential interception. Benoit Pefero wasn't straight from the hooker.
Option.
Glasgow will get the option.
Well, that's the type of stuff that drives coaches absolutely mad.
Correct.
And the missed throw-in, the missed opportunity there for Canada. And undoubtedly Kieran Crowley, the head coach, of course the former New Zealand All Blacks, in charge of their 15 squad. Well, they'll be fuming over that one. That was a real chance for, you know, when you consider you're a man down in the backs, you drive that line out, you win it, you drive the line out, you suck in those Glasgow forwards at that line out, and then you bring out your best attack move. As a back, surely you work out what's going to happen and you attack that Glasgow team that have one player short in the back.
Stand up, stand up. Stop.
Oh, a little bit of afters. Benoit Pefero, who was pinged, and Evan Olmsted again, just being held back.
No. No.
And the referee,
Everyone's
wants
over,
none of
everyone's
it.
walking away, you leave it. That's it. 2 minutes.
Good seeing reaction. This will be a good scrum to see if they settle down or if there's another spike in this engagement process.
Crouch.
Glasgow happy to see some of the 10 minutes of Rory Clegg's time in the sin bin taken away.
Binding.
Binding was poor. Tideman
Number 3.
was pinged.
1 minute.
And again, Glasgow can just take their time.
Yeah, you're fine. Yes.
As the Canadian bench. They've made 10 players. 6 players sit out, including the skipper Tyler Arden, who's actually injured. He was injured last week in the game against the USA.
Let's go. No meeting, please. Yeah, line up. Let's go. 1 minute.
Oh, Glasgow chose the final minute to try and have a team meeting, which did not impress the referee.
Josh.
Had a communication back there.
No more meetings.
To MacArthur at hooker. And it's been pretty secure for Glasgow.
MacArthur and Kieran Lowe was up.
It's outside shoulder, not straight.
Well, it wasn't straight. Looked a decent throw from the angle we saw it at, but the referee was right down the middle, scrum down.
Kieran Lowe there in the 5 jersey. Keep the touch judge on this near side. The old daggers. No way was that squint he was suggesting with his eye contact.
Crouch.
He's a big lad, 6'6", Kieran Lowe.
Set.
Qualifies for Scotland to a Scottish grandfather. He's hailing from Dingwall. Hirayama gets the ball out wide. Hassler again does well. Final play. They're driving through. Glasgow will get the penalty and they'll pop this out of play. And they'll go in at the break. 9 points down.
Yeah, 9 points down, but many positives from this Glasgow performance. Again, equally from Canada. They were under early pressure, but they've come back into this game, and it's been great to see their backup play, some of the passing, the movement. They've struggled a little bit in the scrum and putting their set piece together, but otherwise a thoroughly entertaining game.
Come back to us on the red button if you're going off to listen to the interview from Gregor Townsend. It's a good listen. Then join Scott and myself. Half time in Nova Scotia, the battle for New Scotland. Canada 14, Glasgow Warriors 5.
You know, a lot of these Canadian players have the skills to play up at the upper echelons of the game.
Underway at the start of the second half. And Mangat, who certainly caught the eye. Phil Mack, some of the distribution not been great. Hirayama, that's a hit and a half. And down went the fullback. But there's some good runners, Canada. They move again. Matt Evans, credit to him, still got the ball away. Hirayama through Braid. Glasgow flying in and missing on that occasion. Favaro. Back, Hirayama. Tries a little chip kick in. Hello, Glasgow. They've got plenty of replacements. Mark Robertson coming on. And out of touch he goes. Evans isn't hanging around. On to Mack. Glasgow might be caught flat-footed here. The cameraman certainly is. The ball across. It's important for Lee Jones to try and get there. DTH van der Merwe comes into Kyle Gilmore. Frantic start to the second half. Richard Thorpe picks up.
Tackler!
Not rolling away. Coming in and then not moving. And the penalty will go Glasgow's way. Nice bright start from the Canadians.
Everyone saw it.
Yeah, it was interesting ball. I was just looking down this Canadian back division who are moving the ball so well, incidentally. And it's no surprise that a lot of the players have had exposure to seven-a-side rugby. Now, a lot of viewers at home will know I commentate a lot on the sevens format of the game. I'm a former captain of the Scotland sevens team, but what sevens gave me was the skill base. And when you look down from Phil Mack in the halfbacks with Nathan Hirayama, you've got Connor Bray, Kieran Hurd, Jeff Hassler, Matt Evans. All of them have played for this Canadian sevens outfit. They cross-code between 7 and 15s. And it does concern me when Scottish rugby pay lip service to seven-a-side rugby, that it's not part of the future of the game, because for me, Canada have to play at the highest level, and sevens rugby gives the players the exposure and the intensity, and the way the Canadians have come out and moved this ball just shows some of the skills that are involved within the game.
And they've had a couple of good sevens years, Canada, as they've come through with a fairly settled squad. The Warriors trailing. Remember, Glasgow still down to 14. Rory Clegg. There's another 4 minutes. Strauss loves to take the ball into contact and then try and keep going. See one or two changes from Glasgow. Kevin Bryce is on, wearing 16. Grayson Hart is on, wearing a blank jersey. Again, Glasgow not able to clear out and get the ball recycled quickly. Phil Macknell, another loose pass, and the knock on from Matt Evans. Really, that was a gift back to Glasgow.
Yeah, straight away Phil Mack realises missed pass. Put his hands to his head, and the knock on has given Glasgow a great attacking scrum. I'm a great believer. You put that ball in almost channel one. Of course, I'm talking about channel one from the old days. They'll hold it in the back, but you need that quick ball to then attack down that blind side. The 8 pick-up linking with 9. You got pace from Murchie out the back, and it's a great attacking platform. But you'll see Canada there in the background. They put 3 players to mark that far side. So it'll be interesting to see if Glasgow will continue to attack there, because in the middle, Glenn Bryce is standing directly behind the scrum, just out the shot. You can see his shadow crouch on that picture, just as our director switches.
Fine. Set. Use. Ball out.
The ball is out. Strauss. Cavaro again. Glasgow trying to motor. Canada introduced a couple of changes as well. I can see Jeb Sinclair wearing 19 with the head cap.
Back.
Ball went backwards, picked up by Lee Jones. Good play from Glasgow again. Fraser Lyle has broken the line on several occasions.
Number 1.
And for the second time in the half, entry has been a problem. Yana Yanatawa not impressing the referee, Chris Asmus.
Yes, another indication of Lyle's running angles. He did so well. He got in support of Lee Jones there. Lee Jones had to track back on the ball, flip that ball in, and then the cut and angle there by the Glasgow centre, Fraser Lyle. But, well, thirsty work for the Scottish supporters.
Never go far wrong with a kilt in Canada. Tim Swinson getting some attention. And while it's not an official water break, one or two players just taking on more liquid as they can. Tim Swinson, 20 appearances in 30 matches for Glasgow last term.
Scotia on 3. Ready? 1,
Well,
2, 3. Scotia!
some of the players went to the local schools this week and had a chat and introduced them to rugby. You see there, Evan Olmstead's quite happy to lead the crew, trying to encourage the sport of rugby union across Nova Scotia.
No, we're not cheaters.
Well, it's also interesting, England are the host of the Rugby World Cups, and I see the target for the RFU is to have 780 state schools with established teams and playing rugby in the schools within the next 4 years. This is a programme that's already been running 3 years, Paul. So it's so important that the current internationalists and professionals encourage the next generation through.
Riyama plays the ball through, picked up by Kieran Hearn. Mack on the snipe, neatly taken out. And Glasgow will get Clegg is back on. That really should go out. Bryce will send it out. What a tackle, Jeff Haslett. Well, he's an experienced player, Jeff Haslett. And Glasgow were just a little bit slow, or Mark Robertson could have been over the line. I thought they were a bit slow to get the ball out.
Yeah, good cover tackle there from Jeff Hassler. As all good wingers should do, snuffing out scoring opportunities on the wide outside channel. Phil Mack got caught here. I thought he got injured. It was a nasty one, wasn't it, as he rolled over the back.
So they'll check to see that he's okay. See, just taking a little meeting again. It's been played at a really good tempo. The last time outside from Glasgow played an international side, you have to go back to November 1998, with the Glasgow Caledonian Reds, as they were, lost by 62 points to 9 at Firhill. In their days as the Glasgow District, they played against South Africa, Tonga, New Zealand, Australia twice, and Fiji. The Glasgow District defeating both Tonga and Fiji. The heartbreaking loss to New Zealand in 1979 by 12 points to 6.
Hang on. Hold the ball. Hang on.
Benoit Pefero.
Can you move?
Referee just wanting a bit more space. Offset. Hassler did well to take. Dalla will come.
Leave.
It's Jimmy McKenzie on its scrum half for the Canadian side.
Leave it.
It's a good clearing kick in the end. We don't have the advantage of seeing the players coming on and off. There was 53 players ready to go at any one time. We'll do our very best for him.
Well, Paul, Jamie McKenzie, interesting enough, he is the son of Phil Manning, born in Ayr, and has moved over to Australia as a young kid and now representing this Canadian team. But he could have been a dual qualification player, I think, for Scotland, but obviously relocated over there.
Brother Phil,
Inside, please.
also on the bench, plays his rugby with Sale Sharks.
Just move left, please. Hang on. You're moving. Move left. You move. He's fine. You move.
The international language of movement should be the same. Pat MacArthur thought about the debate. Grayson Hart gets the ball away. Favaro, who's impressed. And you see Glasgow, Darcy Wright involved, driving through. Yana Taylor. Hard again, no number on the back of the jersey. Driving through is George Strauss. Yana Tower, tackled by Olmsted.
Back. One.
Glasgow setting up again. Trying to drive through James Eddy. Here's Clegg. Clegg gets it through. Kieran Lowe, swallowed up. Connor Braid, tackling superbly today. Hard again, Murchie. See 16 for Glasgow. There's Kevin Bryce. Back again from Hart. Strauss, 5 minutes in the line, Glasgow. Clegg through the hands.
No, 2 hands.
Well, it's a knock on,
2 hands.
but we saw Roddy Clegg be yellow carded for one.
Right here. It's very different.
Kieran Howard went for this ball. I think it was
knock on.
It was a switching, wasn't it?
Two-handed.
Well,
no difference between that one and the Clegg one, apparently.
That's Andrew Tideman, the 27-year-old, 42nd Canadian appearance. It gets very complex when you try and track caps and non-caps. This is a non-cap match for the Canadians. It's his 42nd appearance for the national side. We'll take a water break for now.
When you're the receiver, don't go inside 15 when you're going to peel off.
It's hard work out there.
Almost a Nick Cummins type lookalike there from the Canadian second row there, Evan Olmsted.
He's a big lad, 6'6". He was born in Canada, moved to Australia at the age of 3 and still plays his rugby in Sydney.
Hey, I got you.
What a difference there, watching rugby, sunshine, t-shirts and shorts. The thought of working and commentating with BBC Alba on a cold winter's night at Murrayfield Stadium or at Scotstoun, bringing you all the action from the Guinness Pro 12. Well, I'd have my hand warmers, my gloves and everything, my thermos flask, but no, gladly in a short sleeve shirt today.
Scrum goes down.
Far side.
And it's going to be a re-scrum.
Interesting signing for Glasgow with Grayson Hart. Of course, Grayson Hart was part of the Edinburgh squad, got capped for Scotland last season, and Grayson Hart now on at scrum half, I should say, for Mike Blair. So he'll be delivering the scrum. It'll be interesting to see how he settles into the Glasgow style of play, you know, with Gregor Townsend at the helm.
Bind.
Matawala was used at 9 a lot last term. I preferred them out on the wing. I think they've got a more steady influence at 9 between Hart and Blair.
Yeah, and Henry Pyrgos, of course, who's looking good in the Scotland jersey.
He is indeed. Driving on, Rory Clegg. Glasgow looking for the line. The engagement was fine.
Play on, thank you.
Eddie battles on. Clegg through the hands of Lyle. Lyle tried to get it to Bryce, and it will come out onto Robertson.
Woo!
Taken down by Hirayama.
Yeah.
Strauss.
Yeah, move.
Ball came backwards.
Away, one!
Mike Cusack is on. He's wearing 3, which is the same number worn by Fagerson. As the ball comes inside onto Murchie. Murchie was held up and dropped down.
Well, that was a telegraph move. If Murchie had gone on the outside channel, there was perhaps more space, and that's where Glasgow are beginning to attack now. Get it out wider, because if they go down these short channels, I think the Canadian defence is good on the short, but out wide they can attack and get more space.
Taken again by Grayson Hart into contact. Eddie yelling.
Away.
Battling in is James Eddy, leading the charge. Now here's Strauss again. Nala tries to drag him down, so too.
Hands off.
There's Hearn. Out once more from Grayson Hart. No way through for Lee Jones, 14 for Glasgow. And that just comes through the hands of Favaro. It's going to be a knock-on. I credit the Canadian defence. They were stretched, but they didn't break. Some good tackling. Nanyak Dalla showing his experience, moving left and right, making good challenges.
3 and 12.
More live rugby for you as the Pro 12 gets underway on Friday evening. Edinburgh
3 and 12
against Leinster is live on BBC Alba. That should be a cracker. Glasgow open up next Saturday. They'll take on the Scarlets.
Yeah, a good start for Edinburgh getting home against Leinster. Of course, they've polished off a good pre-season, Edinburgh, and a win at Golden Acre last night over an Ulster team by 23 points to 10.
Glasgow's second game of the regular season is against Connacht, and it is live on BBC Two Scotland. As you see, some ferocious tackling in there.
Yeah, that was the movement that I was talking about with Peter Murchie. If Murchie had cut his line outside, then there was room out there. He came on the inside, and, well, the easiest tackle in a game of rugby, Paul, is on the inside, not on the outside. But when you stretch an arm on a tackle, you can always break a tackle. Connor Braid there getting a treatment on the back of his neck.
So he's lasted almost 53 minutes.
Crouch.
Connor Braid.
Bind. Set.
Jamie McKenzie with a put-in. Ontario Blues.
Hughes now.
Province. That's nicely away from the back from Richard Thorpe, and Glasgow up quickly once more. Through by McKenzie.
Away.
Strauss has lost his scrum cap. Hirayama gets that charge down. Fraser Lyle is having a good afternoon.
No. Ball's gone.
Yeah, he's 27-year-old now, and he started late in his professional life, but he's a good player, and as you've seen, some of his passing has been absolutely excellent. We've talked about his lines of running as well. So,
you go there.
you know, that experience, you know, as a late starter, but you know, as a more mature player, I think he's going to stand Glasgow in good stead.
Hold the ball. Listen, you're closing your own
The
space.
barbecue sausages on fire on the back of that picture, Paul.
I think it will get attended to, hopefully. The long throw taken by Richard Thorpe. Richard Thorpe who qualifies for Canada through a Canadian mum. He was born in Toronto. Had a spell with Leicester, London Irish. Now with London Welsh. No scoring so far in the second half. Glasgow with a lot of play, a lot of territory, finding it hard to break through against the Canadian side.
Yeah, we were chatting at half-time, Paul, weren't we? We just felt that Glasgow hadn't got enough territory in that first half, and actually Canada had the dominance of possession as well, but, well, they're right in there, and they're making a real fist of it. And it's been an entertaining encounter.
Kevin Bryce, twice cap for Scotland. Through Grayson Hart, out through Clegg, Lyle, Strauss. Well, again, good hands is Robertson. Robertson cuts inside too, taken down by Olmsted. Hart. As Tim Swinson is put into reverse.
Off feet, number 8.
Coming in off the feet was Richard Thorpe.
I'd like to see Glasgow just kick for touch here. No point taking the 3 points. This is as much a sort of opportunity for them to sort of test out their systems. Rory Clegg looks as though he's going to shake for touch. So attack from this line out.
Yeah, and a Pro 12 game, take the points.
Yeah, very much so. But Clegg should have actually had that kick right in at that 5-metre line. You know, really put, you know, Canada under pressure, put himself under pressure by trying to get a better line-out throw closer to the Canadian line.
6.
So it gives Glasgow a chance to drive for that Canadian line.
Hang on, time off.
Some more changes being made on the field.
15 minutes.
The recognisable figure of Junior Bulamaka to Scotland as a 10-year-old. He stands as a former Fijian Sevens international.
15 minutes.
He's well built, the 24-year-old. Got a try last week against Clermont in his Glasgow debut. The one thing Glasgow have been good at, Scott, is unearthing just, you know, the odd talent here and there, just to supplement those coming through. And Junior Bulamaka,
Let's sort of play on.
it's an interesting signing.
Yeah, very much so. And well, we also Nicola Matavalo was like a crowd favourite for this the Glasgow Warriors supporters, and I'm sure this guy Junior Bulamaka will do exactly likewise. He was an outstanding player in the Army-Navy match at the tail end of last season. An exciting dynamic runner, as well, anybody with a bit of Fijian blood will profess.
Sack is good. It's a tackle, move!
So Junior Bulamaka on for Lee Jones, Will Bordell is on for Simone Favaro. Fraser Lyle, another line break. Robertson, Clegg, no way through for Murchie on that occasion.
7!
Canada looking really well in that press defence. They're coming up fine. A lot of people talk about line speed, but press defence means you're pressing and putting your opposition under that pressure.
Come Glasgow again. Robertson on to Hart. Grayson Hart again, Clegg on to Strauss, always waiting in the midfield. He's taken down by Jed Sinclair.
Ruck! First man.
The Ruck's calling. Canada have got the turnover here. And they will indeed get the
Ball's
foot
on
in.
the red side, number 10 was in the way.
So Glasgow took it in.
Just go.
And couldn't find a way to get it back out again. You can see the pace just slowing down at the breakdown. You know, they're just taking that extra few seconds before they come together. It's warm out there. These players, it's a good workout.
Yeah, oh, very much so. I was looking at Josh Strauss actually on a previous bit of play. It was quite interesting the way he walked into position as Glasgow were going through their phases of possession. So, you know, a lot of these pods, when they set up the pod system, Paul, one pod will obviously get ready to take the ball and take the contact. but it was Strauss who was acting as the second pod. He walked into place, so it's interesting to watch the dynamics, but certainly, you know, hot conditions out there.
Stand up. Yeah, elbow
Well,
up.
Glasgow currently have 2 players that don't have numbers on. I just spotted Robbie Ferguson.
Okay, 1 and 13, go.
He's come on.
Thank you. Let's line up. Let's go.
He's replaced Glenn Bryce at centre as Doug Woolridge comes on for Nanyak Dalla. 29-year-old prop Doug Woolridge. And just as Sears Duro departs. So you can see the white boots on the left of your picture. That's Robbie Ferguson.
Bind.
The young man from Ayr, who's also an academy coach at Ayr. Ayr off to a winning start in the Premier League today. Lovely play in Glasgow. It's followed by the fact they're allowing the charging run of Harry Jones. Olmsted. Crossed by Mackenzie. On the deck there. Canada get things moving that time. Another strong challenge on Jeff Haslett. Canada trying to go wide. Glasgow tracking with them. And the knock-on, of which there were several, will be penalised, put into Glasgow. And again, have failed to make a dent in the scoreboard in the first 20 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, what a break.
Hubert Erdens, 40 years old, the guilty party.
Well, Tim Swinson's had a few knocks, hasn't he, this afternoon?
It would surprise me if they bring him off now. I think he's done his bit.
Yeah, we're 18-41.
So a change in the Glasgow squad. Some 11 players leaving the Warriors to make it 21, including those who are covering for the Rugby World Cup, who have come in. And they'll take a water break here again in the heat of Halifax. So locally, Halifax, the local sides, the Halifax Tars and the Dartmouth Pig Dogs are the local rugby sides in the area. I actually meant to check what the logo was for the Pig Dog. It sounds kind of good.
I bet they're a bit rough.
I'm glad you weren't there. So for the McTier Cup, the BC Bears, British Columbia Bears, the Prairie Wolfpack, the Ontario Blues and the Rock are the 4 provinces. The Ontario Blues quite strong at the moment. They were certainly hoping for a big crowd. That's what they've got.
No problem, right? Just one up left. Okay, that's the mark that's left. That's it. Yeah, just hold your space, that's all.
Well, the water breaks are understandable here. And there, Kieran Lowe comes off. Some more changes as the Glasgow bench. Scott White will replace Rory Clegg, Jason Hill, Scott Cummings come on for Kieran Lowe and Tim Swinson. And George Hunter has come on for Jerry Yanatawa.
Bind. Set. Nine.
Grayson Hart. Hart onto Lyle. The pass was flagged, but Murchie couldn't get it. And the drop pass there. So Peter Murchie's been very quick to come into the attack. There's a little pat on the back from number 23, Mark Robertson.
Yeah, there's been some good passing from both the teams. Peter Murchie spilling on this occasion. Often talk about passing for the man, not passing to the man. You know, the subtle difference, and if you can get into the player's psyche about how they can use the pace of the ball, you know, every youngster out there as they start their new school rugby season.
Set.
The pass always beats the man, or the pass can beat the man, and well, it certainly could there, but Peter Murchie didn't quite hang on to it.
Harry Jones winning 23 on it, fly half for the Canadians.
It's a clear ruck.
Well, it's a clear ruck in Glasgow diving in. A penalty to Canada. And
Ruck
John
first.
Crowley, the New Zealander, a winner at the first World Cup in 1987, will lead Canada to their second World Cup in his tenure. His contract is up in January. For it to be extended, there has to be some sort of progress.
Okay, folks, 19 minutes left in this half. Let's make some noise.
Ray Barkwell, a key member of the Ontario Blues and the McTier Cup winning sides the last 4 seasons, through the hands of Jones.
Away.
Nanyak Dalla playing in the back row, but is a sevens player. He loves to run. Jones again. That's a good take from Liam Underwood.
Play on.
Glasgow driving through, trying to get the turnover. I think they've won the turnover. The referee says they've won it illegally.
Holding on.
Holding on, penalised there is Kevin Bryce.
Yeah, Canada get the ball back there.
Play on.
Illegal is the instruction from the referee. Canada, incidentally, they're playing against Georgia next Wednesday. I meant to go to that game actually, but I might avoid that one. They then play Fiji. That'll be an interesting one. They're going to play them at the Stoop next week, Paul. So, you know, that's the last sort of chance of any of these teams in the Rugby World Cup having a warm-up game. The cut-off will be on that Sunday.
The Canadians have already announced their squads. Canada, which consists of 10 provinces and 3 territories, have their side represented from 7 of the provinces, of which Ontario and British Columbia make up 21 of the 31 players. They are heartlands of Canadian rugby. Here on the east coast of Canada, they're trying to bless the folks of Halifax. Evans, one of the try scorers, runs into his own man. Glasgow will get the put in.
Interesting. Rugby Canada actually have their headquarters in the city of Langford on Victoria Island in the beautiful British Columbia. And I was out there in April, Paul, and saw all the training conditions. The 3G pitch they've got out there, and some of the players were doing an early Saturday morning session, including Kieran Hearn and Gareth Rees, who's the manager of this particular Canadian team as they go into the Rugby World Cup. There's a lake just round the corner that they all go and dive in, and that's where they get their ice baths. A beautiful Canadian lake, and great facilities they've got out there.
I can't see the Warriors wanting to jump in the Clyde for their ice bath.
Move!
Good handling from Glasgow. Here comes Robbie Ferguson. We gave Junior Bulamaka a big build-up, but we've yet to see him.
Play on through the
Evans has come through the middle. Legal, says the referee, as Kevin Bryce picks up.
Advantage 19, not moving.
Jeff Sinclair has been pinged.
Penalty.
Well, you may as well try it. You're coming back for the penalty anyway.
Well, we talked earlier on about Rory Clegg kicking for the corner. Scott White, of course, is on now. Scott White, we want a good tight kick to the touchline. See if we can ping it towards that 5-yard line so
19.
Glasgow can set up their attack.
This will be a second spell for Scott White with Glasgow. Played 26 times in a 3-year spell. Back playing club rugby with Melrose and for the Rugby World Cup. He's a part once more of Glasgow.
So a slightly better kick now. It allows the attacking platform off the set piece line out. Bryce with the throw in. You can see the instructions being given.
Defense, Canada.
Between Kevin Bryce and George Hunter.
The referee's been very strict with the gap in the line.
Let's go.
As the announcer here in Halifax asks for defence.
Taking out the
All
lifter.
the way through, taking out the man lifting. That's Ferguson driving on. Glasgow set up. They haven't scored since the 3rd minute.
Use!
Robertson comes wide. Olmsted tries to swallow up the ball. Glasgow have players everywhere. Grayson Hart's been held in there. And he gets taken out.
You go.
Oh, a yellow card going on there for Duke Woolridge.
Playing the 9.
There he is, the big foot forward.
Well, the referee called it playing the 9. It was more like decapitating the 9.
Use it!
But he's got the wrong man, isn't he?
No, he's got Woolridge. Nope, you're right. It's 18.
I've seen a pull.
But he's still there. So who's gone to the bin?
He's got Evan Olmsted, who's has equally an imposing beard, but...
So my view is your legs are straight.
Oh, is it
You know what I'm seeing? That's my picture. Fix it.
Grayson Hart none the worse.
Oh, I think
where?
it was the taking out of the line out. He's maybe penalised
It's
him.
clearly cynical. He's holding the halfback on the ground.
See, that's interesting. Initially, I thought it was Woolridge as well, but you're right.
I just overheard in the referee's microphone that he was pulling Grayson Hart in illegally into the ruck. But a let off for Duke Woolridge, actually.
Leave the lifters.
Tell you what, he could have seen yellow for that as well. Kevin Bryce needs a good throw. It's guddled from Glasgow.
Rock!
But regained. The number 6 you see for Glasgow is Jason Hill. White. Grayson Hart. Well, the ball wasn't.
Both players.
Well, there was hands on the ball from both sides, according to a referee.
Yeah, if there's one
Both players
criticism on this Glasgow team, both when Mike Blair was on at scrum half and now Grayson Hart, is that in the game of rugby football, you need quick ball, really, if you're going to put teams under pressure. And I appreciate that at times it does slow down, you want to set your play, but I think that comes from the training field. And the way you play is the way you train on the field of play. And the teams that look to get ball away from the contact area, switch the angles, are the teams that are the most dangerous.
Let's go, boys.
The man from the Cornish Pirates, Aaron Carpenter, comes on. Was a back row player. Can also play at hooker, but he's on for Richard Thorpe.
Time on. Time on, let's go.
So if Glasgow wish to win this match, and you feel they've got to score, well, the influential figure of Evan Olmsted
Crouch.
is on his enforced timeout.
Bind. Set.
A delicate touch from Grayson Hart. Scott White on the angle. Murchie gets it across onto Robertson. Robertson, Junior Bulamaka. He's right in the corner.
Time off.
Glasgow think they've scored. There's going to be a consultation with the touch judge.
Try or no try? Thank you.
The try is given.
What a great wraparound move here. Look at this camera angle, just to summarise this one up. Bang round on the wide outside channel. Mark Robertson releases his opposite winger. It looked as though it was a step out wide, so no TMO in this game.
Well, it's the touch judge. I think if it was a Pro 12 game, you'd be unhappy if that went against you. Let's just say that.
Well, Glasgow making a real fist of it. As you said, they scored the 3rd minute, and they've now scored on the 70th. Junior Bulamako, well, he's made a difference, and I'm sure the Glasgow faithful at Scotstoun will love this guy.
Risk to take it within 2. Scott White with the boots. The yellow boots are working. And it adds a little bit of impetus for the last 9 minutes of the match.
Adds a bit of spice as well, isn't it? I'd be interested to find out which coach really enjoyed it. You know, Gregor Townsend, I'm sure, has got a lot out of this game. Great experience for the Glasgow Warriors squad to go over there. Canada, pretty comfortable in defensive chores and perhaps don't have, you know, all the attacking threat, but undoubtedly they have players who will rise to the occasion. As I mentioned earlier on, there's a difference between playing here in Halifax and walking out against Ireland in the Millennium Stadium in the Rugby World Cup. Kind of a different mindset.
They'll be greeted by a wall of noise.
Scrum advantage. Step.
And many enthusiastic Irishmen. It's Jamie McKenzie. McKenzie, Hassler. And that's what it's like to play at the Millennium Stadium.
Play on.
Glasgow get the turnover. Good hands for George Hunter.
In front of kicker.
Well,
23.
In front of the kicker was Mark Robertson.
Thanks, Rose. Here.
His dad, Keith, of course, was some player.
Yeah, Keith, who played in the centre, of course, for Melrose, the south of Scotland, and also for Scotland. Also played in the wing, and I had the benefit of playing alongside him as well. Played in the first ever Rugby World Cup in 1987.
Good player.
Cap.
I'll be watching his son here for Glasgow.
Harry Jones, a good player for the Canadian Sevens side, really skillful operator, scores a bundle of points, very fast, good footwork. You may have also noticed Nanyak Dalla, who's gone out to the wider channels and started the match in his a flanker, and now playing, I think he was in the outside centre position at one point, but still has the skill base to do that. Hakat Sam Burgess.
Well, he's a gamble for England. Versatility can sometimes be a curse. Well, Glasgow penalised there for the gap. Now, Glasgow have been warned not once, not twice, but 3 or 4 times. So the free kick goes Canada's way. As you can see, Cal Gilmore plays his rugby with Rotherham.
8 minutes. Yeah. What's your decision? It's 10 over there. What's your decision? Scrum.
Yeah, you can shake off a little knock there.
8.
Cal Gilmore from the Rotherham Titans.
His debut against the New Zealand Maoris back in November 2013, very quickly become an important player for this Canadian side.
Boys, back channel, I can't talk to you more. You have to open up.
Yeah, here's Dalla back up into the flank position.
You got to stick to back channel, man. I've been talking to them all that whole lineup, closing the gaps.
Interesting having Scott White having kicked long and Mark Robertson being penalised. That's given Canada this territory in the closing few minutes.
Set. Put it in.
Take a while to get it in, but eventually McKenzie does. Alan Carpenter at the back now.
Good scrum by Glasgow.
Hands off!
Canadians have used the replacements well. They look fresh. And they look busy in trying to secure their first win since they beat Namibia back in November 2014.
Last feet. Last feet.
Doing enough at the moment, Canada, to hold on. We're rolling around once more. Hubert Bayern, 16. Speed of the head there.
Last.
Jamie McKenzie again. McKenzie plays it through the hands of Harry Jones. But again, it's the White and Blues who close down quickly. Barkwell.
Attack. Leave it.
That's Glasgow's other number 6 on the challenge, Jason Hill. Jones gets it wide. There's Cal Gilmore. Gilmore drops the ball out onto Liam Underwood. They can get this out. There's a chance here for Canada. They do so. Sending her out wide. Number 25 is Phil McKenzie. 4 metres from the line. Inside it goes. Hubert Byron's. A try here you would suspect would be victory for Canada. And it will be victory for Canada. And who else? DTH Van der Merwe was in there. And over the line they go. Looks like it's going to be a victory for the home side. Much to the delight for the Canadian spectators.
Yeah, great skill set from the Canadians. Fantastic crisp passing. And when the movement eventually finished, it was just the sleight of hand there from Matt Evans to put DTH Van der Merwe. But some of the passing in the build-up to that try, right out the top drawer. And that's the skill level you want to operate at, because every single pass was in front of the man, and it was delivered superbly well.
Shows the strength of DTH Van der Merwe. Got knocked, but was able just to spin and come in.
You know, all the years he played in Glasgow Warriors, a very underrated player in the Guinness Pro 12, scored many a good try out of nothing, and certainly continuing that rich vein of form in the Canadian jersey as well. He's looking for a strong Rugby World Cup. As I mentioned earlier on, in New Zealand 4 years ago, Canada played him in the centre, and I think he's a better attacking threat for this Canadian team on the wing, as he's just proved there.
This will all but confirm Canada's first win of 2015. If this one goes through, it doesn't, so a converted try is there. Because we saw DTH Van der Merwe covered the semi-final against Ulster in that wonderful moment, out wide on the right-hand side, crossing the line, bringing Scotland to its feet.
Yeah, it was good memory of that, and on a beautiful
Hang on.
well, it was a summer's evening, wasn't it? The tail end of last season. But Canada, it's been a really quality game. As I said, a good workout for both teams. I'm sure both coaches will come out very pleased, and you know, Glasgow have been very competitive. They've gone through their attack structure really well, and they've limited quite a few players, which have been interesting. That'll keep them in good stead in this Guinness Pro 12 season.
Plenty of Pro 12 action, and our Gaelic man of the match is Tim Swinson. So congratulations to Tim Swinson. He is our Learn Gaelic Scots man of the match. Glasgow drive on through
19.
George Hunter. Hart on to Swinson. Swinson back to Scott White. And it goes on to Robertson. Robertson doesn't want to be taken down. Worked hard there. Advantage Glasgow. 19. And being pinged there was Jeb Sinclair, not for the first time, the man from Lund Irish.
Well, drill one into the corner, Glasgow. Josh Strauss, interesting, he's done well, but the Canadian defence has been good on him. He's not been as impactful as potentially we might have thought at the start of the game. He's been well marshalled, still done good work though. All the hard yards have created front foot football for Glasgow, but it's not been as dynamic as you'd expect him to be.
Well, the misconversion has left the door open for Glasgow. Again, the kick to the corner, perhaps not far enough into the corner, and the difference another 5 or 6 metres could have made.
Yeah, we'll play on. Let's go. Step.
Kevin Bryce. That's not straight. The referee's given it that time. And now here comes Glasgow. White tries to offload it onto Robertson. Hart plays it out. White gets it out. Junior Balamaka immediately enveloped by the white and red. And it's going to be a Glasgow throw. And the referee is going to have a word with his touch judge. Ball was ripped out.
Are you okay?
Slow to get to his feet is Josh Strauss.
Yeah, nothing in the air. Let's go.
20 seconds to play.
Move across, please.
Glasgow have another chance. So I'll take it by Scott Cummings.
Leave it. Out.
Can Glasgow find a way through the rolling maul? Canada have got the bulk to repel them here. Glasgow have got the ball at the back.
Out.
Mike Cusack, you can see, wearing 3. Grayson Hart through Scott White. White going for the line, tries to get it off onto Ferguson. And the ball spills free. The ball is knocked on, and that will be it. It's a much needed win for Canada. It's the first of 2015 as they say farewell to Canadian soil as they head to England for the Rugby World Cup. Glasgow, though, will have taken a lot out of not only the match but the week itself, enjoying their time in the beautiful city of Halifax in Nova Scotia. But the battle for New Scotland has been won by the Canadians, and they've not had too much to smile about in terms of the rugby, but they managed to get a smile on their face today. So the Canadian squad, who's announced at a big dinner in Toronto on Tuesday, where they all got their red blazers, have followed up with a fine win against the Glasgow Warriors side, who are happy to play their part in open rugby. Full-time scoreline between Canada and the Glasgow Warriors. The clinching score came from DTH van der Merwe. The final scoreline of Canada 19, Glasgow Warriors 12. We hope you've enjoyed the action here on the BBC Red Button. From Scott Hastings and myself, Paul Mitchell. Thanks for watching.
The building will open until 6 p.m.